Good morning, good evening around the nation and across the globe, wherever you are. This is Deja Brew, and we are waking you up to truth. I have the pleasure of having Skywalker back with me, and we're going to do a weekly podcast together. Hi, how
Yeah,
you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Look at me with my third eye on the outside.
Beep, beep, mama.
Yeah, me and my kids were having fun earlier.
Well,
I was like, I'm going to keep it until I see Michael.
Were you really walking around with that all day?
Well, for like the last hour. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's okay. It was comfortable.
Yeah, some people wear that all day
I know.
like that.
Yeah, I would totally forget it's there after all day. I'd be like, go to rub my head and be like, oh, what's on me? Totally forget because that's who I am. I don't look in the mirror that often. So, so how are you? What's new? What's going on?
Just getting over a little bit of a head cold, I guess, but
Oh,
feeling much better today. Lots of
good.
tea. It's funny.
Mm,
It's
I
funny
like tea.
because that night when we had our first interview, that night before the interview, I was out on the roof, hanging lights up, feeling good. Had a great interview with you, and I had that little tickle where you reflect on those little tickles a couple days prior to that.
Hmm.
The second you have that little tickle where you kind of guess to yourself, yeah, that's when I got sick. But
Yep.
yeah,
It's going around.
yeah.
Fall came early, in my opinion,
Well, yeah, let's knock it out, get it over with.
right?
I'm ready for some cozy winter here.
Yeah, I'm ready to just get winter over with. We can just fast forward to spring for all I care. I don't like winter. I don't like being cold. But I have like a lower than normal body temperature too. And that seems to be an interesting thing with like star children or star seeds. They all have a not normal body temperature. Is yours
Mhm.
normal?
I run hot.
You run hot?
Yeah.
I run way cold. Like normal for me is 95.7.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to me like when it's cold, there's always something I could do to warm up, but when I'm hot, it's just miserable, especially where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I'm in a little cottage in the hills, and this thing can't take more than one day of 90 degrees.
Right. Is it humid where you live? You live in California, right?
Yeah, I live in the Bay Area in the East Bay.
Yeah. So do you
Uh,
get much humidity?
it Not really, because the Bay Area is basically an air conditioner. That's why everyone
Oh,
comes and lives
nice.
out in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Okay. Well, lucky you. I'm here in southern Indiana where it's hot and humid.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get right into it because I wrote some stuff down after we talked the other night that I was thinking about, and I really want to like pick your brain.
Cool.
He says, "Oh."
Cool. No, I said
Oh, you
cool.
said cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, "Oh."
I'm in trouble now. She found out about
Right.
me.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about star children, star seeds. Um, what are your thoughts on each of them having an archangel as a spirit guide? Does that sound like
Like,
something to you?
you mean like having one of the angels being assigned to each
Mhm.
angel?
Yeah, yeah, like an angel being assigned to you according to like your ray, right? Like some people are blue rays, and a lot of people don't know that there's actually like a red ray, a green ray, like every color in the rainbow ray,
N-
right?
I
You
didn't
didn't?
realize that. No.
Yeah. So like for me, I'm a blue ray, and I only know that I'm a blue ray because my spirit guide, well, he used to call himself just the custodian, right? He wouldn't give me a name. And then finally, about 3 years ago, he said his name, and it's Uriel, Archangel Uriel,
Ah,
and Aurora, his sidekick, I guess you'd say. Um, but they are of the blue ray,
okay.
and I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool stuff. So this is kind of new to me. And I
Mm.
just, wondered your thoughts on it. Do you have like an archangel that comes to your mind or that visits you as a spirit guide or, anything like that?
Well, I kind of looked into the angels that are assigned with the throne angel, and one of them, I believe, is Uriel, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
I think one of them is Uriel,
Yeah.
and blue. Uh, that's funny because I feel like I want to live in blue. I've always wanted to be of blue. There's just something about a room being blue, uh,
Hmm.
where it just takes me somewhere very comfortable and familiar. So
Yeah.
it's funny they say that because this is all new to me.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's only been within the last few years that I've actually been brave enough to make these steps forward and quit being chicken,
Right.
to etch anything in stone, like we were talking about.
Right.
You were
Right.
pumping me up and trying to help me out there a little bit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I got to thinking after you were talking about the starseed thing and how I was hitting all the check marks on your list or whatever. I'd like to see that list, by the way. You got like a magical list there.
I do have a list. It's on my website and on my Facebook group, but I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking into the starseed, the Pleiadian starseeds a little closer, and they were just describing how far the Pleiades star cluster is actually from us, and it's they said 444 light light years away. 444. Uh,
Magic number.
yeah, there it is again.
Mhm. Yep. Oops,
And it
there it
just
is.
and just like the show ran 1 hour and 11 minutes after we got
Right?
done.
Wasn't that so cool?
Yes, and I just got done talking to you about my friend Angel when we decided to start up our first little gig. You know, I look up and there's an angel in the sky, and I told you that's just how it works. It's these little
Mhm.
synchronicities. They're hard to ignore.
I know, and that was what because I was also reflecting on our conversation, and I was like, he had the 444, and what are the odds that Morse code would give him a numerical number,
Yeah.
a numerical sequence rather
Mm-hmm.
than an alphabetic
Right.
sequence? And I'm like, he's a star seed. I want to ask what your thoughts are on each of us star seeds or star children or whatever you want to call us. Some of us are actually earth angels. Um, I, your thoughts on all of us being assigned an archangel. And there's seven major
Right.
archangels, and there's seven major colors in the rainbow, and every color has its own vibration, its own key, right, or tone,
Mm-hmm.
its own gemstone, its own element, just like all seven chakras, right,
Wow.
align with that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, Michael is definitely one of them, and Gabriel that pop out to me. I think they're there when you need them. I don't know
I
if
do
it's
too.
just a permanent assignment. I think it's a team effort. It takes a tribe, and I
I do
think
too.
yeah.
Yeah. I think they're all readily available for us to call on them. And even sometimes maybe we're not calling on them, but they are meant to teach us certain things. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I had a really beautiful conversation yesterday with um, a star seed who was trained to be a warrior, right? He remembered many, many lives of being a warrior, right? And I said, "Do you remember training with any of the archangels?" And he was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I do. Why would you ask me that?" Well, because I have very vivid astral memory of training on the edge of a cliff with Michael, like sword in hand, other hand behind my back, practicing my finesse, my moves, that everything about it, right? Like it's an art.
Wow.
And then Uriel stepping in and being like, "Okay, that's enough. Give her a break." you know, because Michael's just like wearing me out.
Yeah, Michael the Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would literally wake up with, like, my muscles would be sore, I would have bruises on me, I'd be like, "Dang." Like, I was really in some battle, you know? That's crazy. But he actually, remembered the same thing very vividly, training with Michael to be a warrior, and I was like, "There's gotta be a connection here with all of this." Like, there has to be a connection.
Yeah.
So
I
I just
haven't.
wanted your thoughts on it.
I just know that they're all part of the hierarchy. You know, they're all necessary. The lower you go doesn't necessarily mean, they're on the end of the totem pole there. No, it just means that they're able to communicate
Yeah,
messages, a lot easier because they're closer to kind of where we're at right now, and the higher angels, they really got to tone it down to come across to us,
yeah.
um they really got to lower their vibration and all that
They gotta
stuff.
dumb it
It's
down.
Yeah. There you go. It's a lot of
Yeah,
work, so they need
yeah,
help, so
yeah.
yeah, I believe in that ranking, and the
Okay,
assignments that they have, but
right
I
on.
but I believe it's custom to whoever, they're assigned to. It's custom.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you're on the same page there. Because yeah, I mean, even myself, I mean, I got some stuff figured out, but then there's other stuff that pops in my mind, and I'm like, I need to bounce that off of somebody. you know,
Yeah.
got to check yourself, right?
Yeah.
Another really cool thing about when we talked last time, you were talking about when you were on board the ship and you remembered the obsidian seating,
Yeah.
and that actually really excited me
I
because
yeah, I sensed that.
because there's an Oak Mall in Tennessee that has a huge floating obsidian ball above a water fountain thing.
Okay.
And then also at the UN, they have this huge, what they call a meditation table made of obsidian,
Wow.
right? And even, I don't know if you've ever watched the show, but the Game of Thrones,
I haven't
which
got onto that one. Yeah.
I never watched it until just like 6 months ago, and I binge watched all 8 seasons,
That's
like
what I'm
back to back to back to back, because I was obsessed with so much of the storyline actually fits reality, like
see.
weird reality. And in that show, they use obsidian in arrowhead shapes, and they call it dragon's glass.
Mm.
And it's what defeats like the zombies and the bad entities. Not
o-
dragons, but other, it's got like magical power to it, right? And
Okay.
so there are lots of different areas of our world and our information where obsidian is a very, very important thing. And I even have a ring that was made by a Native American in Cherokee, in North Carolina, that is obsidian. And he called it a black diamond.
Mm.
And I was like, I
Interesting.
like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like you calling it like that, man.
Yeah. Because it's such a beautiful stone,
Who
right?
says diamond is the best, in other
Right. I
words?
never I never agreed with that. Actually, ever since I've learned, speaking of diamonds, ever since I learned that you can harvest what looks like a diamond from a meteorite, but it's called moissanite.
Oh.
So it's essentially a crystal or a diamond that came from a meteor. I'm obsessed with those.
Yeah, I'd rather have
Like,
that than
oh,
something
I
compressed
have
here.
yeah, I have the most fabulous, I'm not married anymore, but I have the most fabulous engagement ring that has a 3 carat moissanite in it. Looks like it was made for a queen, and it's the most beautiful stone I've ever seen in my life. The rainbow colors prisms that just gleam out of it are just incredible. I am obsessed with meteor diamonds. And I'm like, they're from out of this world like me. It's perfect. Okay, so on to the next thing. What was the next thing?
Were you done with the obsidian?
Oh yeah, I was kind of done with. Do you have comments on the obsidian?
Uh, yeah, it was also there was also that hot tub room
Oh,
that
right.
and to me it looked like the same thing. It looked like basically melted obsidian, except for I was close enough to notice that it was dusty and there was water in there. I describe it as a old school hot tub, one of them fiberglass
Right.
hot tubs that have the contours and stuff for your leg. That's what it reminded me of, but it was much taller and bigger than your okey doke hot tub.
Right.
Uh, but I really noticed. I really remember the water. I remember the details of the water so much because I describe it as non-circulating water just kind of sporadically sitting in these little ponds on in and around the hot
Hmm.
tub. It's non-circulated. It doesn't look very refreshing. But talking to other experiencers, they're saying, yeah, I remember seeing those vats, VATS.
Yeah.
You've heard of experiencers describing these vats before too, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I thought, maybe that's what I was looking at, this hot tub, maybe it
Maybe.
was a vat. But yeah, I just thought it was ironic that everything else was, I think it was pretty bright and clean and white, except for the seating of the amphitheater, which looked like obsidian, melted obsidian. And then that hot tub was basically the same. It's
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
And the way you describe it, I almost want to ask, do you think it was a baptismal? But why in the world would aliens have a baptismal?
Well,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's possible that you would have to put your abductee that you're taking if you're going really far. If you're really going to go to deep, deep, deep space, maybe you would have to kind of put yourself in some kind of liquid hibernation with your lungs. Because
Mm.
I remember experiencers describing like they're going to drown and they think they're going to drown and when they take that last breath, it's not their last breath. They actually realize that they can breathe this liquid
Right.
and it keeps them alive and preserved through the experience because they're taken so far deep into the
Yeah.
cosmos from what I gather. So
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of different possibilities. It's all on the table.
Right. And I can kind of go along with that one there myself, just from my own personal experiences, because I'm one of those people that have. I'm one of those people.
And you got some people.
I got some people, but I'm one of those people that has seen my own other body, my own other avatar in like a
Oh,
cryogenic tank kind of a deal, right?
ooh.
So, like, from my understanding, I didn't die to come here to planet Earth and be born. I just had them like take my soul out of this vessel that was my avatar and put that sucker on hold till I go do this life and this mission and whatever, and then I can go back to that body whenever I want to. But I've been shown that body during abductions to see that it's still there and it's still intact and it's still being safe and protected and all those things, right? Because I actually remember coming from Taygeta and in the Pleiadian star system. And for the longest time, I thought Taygeta was like a planet. Must be a planet. I remember this name, Taygeta. Must be a planet. And then after learning about the Seven Sisters star system, I actually discovered that that's one of their suns, their stars. It's Taygeta. So
The
I guess that's
sun.
how you say it when you come from that solar system. You say you come from Taygeta, right? It's not like I
Okay.
say I come from Earth. I would say I
Yeah,
come from
like from the
Sol,
yeah, or the sun. Yeah.
right? Because Sol is the name of our sun, right?
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I would say I come from Sol, SOL, right?
Hmm.
And I even in that the name, because names have power and meaning, and I feel like we're in this specific solar system named Soul because this is where souls come to learn and evolve. And some kind of hiccup happened here, where, in my opinion, from what I've gathered in my knowledge, like reptilian types have taken it
Mm,
over
I knew it.
and prevented this evolutionary growth that's supposed to happen. And so that's why we're all here, is to help make sure that goes off without a hitch this time the way it's supposed to, right? And then when we're
Mhm.
done with all that, we can go back to where we came from if we
Yeah.
choose, you know.
That
So
that all resonates with me. Absolutely. Um, I've been down these dark rabbit holes and realized that I couldn't operate from these rabbit holes. You know, I just found whatever information I needed to get,
yeah,
and I bounced up out of there. I didn't want to
yeah,
operate from that vibration, but it's not to turn a face to it either. I know it's there. I've seen it myself. I've seen the shape shifting in the eyes. I've seen
hmm
that, and you can't walk around telling people that. You know,
right,
only people you could trust that are passionate enough, like yourself. Like I could be myself, and I could tell you straight up. You know, I
yeah,
met a high CEO for a major company. I met him. I wasn't
hmm
expecting it, but we were all taking pictures, and I just happened to glance over at him, and I seen the eyes.
like,
I
dude, I
seen it.
saw him shapeshift.
I seen the and I wasn't into that. I'm not into those videos. You see them all the
Right,
time, right? You see them
right.
all over the place, and
Yep.
Bush's eyes, slipping away into the snake eye look, and I was never really a firm believer of that or into it, and
hmm
and it's like, my gosh, I seen that.
Yeah,
They are in charge of major corporations that are just
they are.
taking
And major
money
government.
and hmm
Yeah. But yeah, and I trust me, out of all of the aliens on the list at the NSA that I stumbled across,
oh, oops.
I I did not want that one to be for real at all. I was like, no, 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 no. Well, that one and vampires, because I'm like, no, no, we don't need that. No, that can't be real. No. And I was pissed that Bigfoot was on their list because I'm like, Bigfoot is another human. That is not an alien.
See, there's all these little prejudices between all the paranormals.
Yeah,
Like
I
you're
was like so mad. And now I've learned that there are like orbs and typically portals and things like that around Bigfoot. And I'm just like, well, snap. Maybe there is something to that.
yeah.
And the vampires, I don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I mean, they're on the list. So clearly the NSA knows something, right? But like, I can't say with 100% of surety I've ever met one in real life. Thank God. Unless that's what the black eyed people are, because I met one of them and
and
they're
there
freaky.
and there's enough people actually that will go to the farthest extent to be that vampire. So that's
Uh
why
huh.
that's wide open. There's people trying to do
Yeah.
every step.
Yeah. 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 Cosmetic surgery included. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they really want to be that. And apparently there's some real ones of that. And I didn't want that shit to be real. And I didn't want reptilians to be real, like for sure. Because just like when I was a little kid, do you remember that show?
V.
No, before
Oh,
V,
okay.
Land, Land,
Oh,
Land of the Lost.
yeah.
So when the Slee Stack would come out, and they were so B rated, right? You remember the Slee Stack, the alien reptile looking dudes, Lizzie people, had big red eyes.
Okay, yeah.
The Slee Stack. It was like the worst costume in the world. I mean, it wasn't
Okay.
even
I know
like it
exactly
wasn't even
then.
scary. But every time they would come on the scene, I would shudder and hide in fear. Like something about them would trigger me, and I did not know what it was. I just hated looking at them. And then, flash forward 35 years, I actually had an encounter with a reptilian being, full on reptilian being. And it was the scariest thing I've ever dealt with in my life because he was literally trying to like penetrate my mind. He wanted my thoughts,
Yeah, that's
he
what I've
wanted
heard.
in there. And I just thought for sure I would end up having an aneurysm or something before I got him out of my head, you know. I mean, it was really, really scary. So that and then I was just like, damn, they do exist. you know,
Oh,
because I didn't want to believe that. I was like, that's foo foo shit.
yeah,
That stuff ain't real.
right.
Yeah, hard lesson.
Yep,
Teach me to be judgy.
yep, I had a feeling. And then and then they say that we have, we have a part reptilian in us, right? What do you think about that?
The whole reptilian brain thing.
Yeah,
Is
what do you
that what
think
you
about
mean?
that? Like that's what keeps us the yin and yang. That's what that you know what I mean? That's what keeps the
Yeah,
devil on the shoulder aspect.
right, right.
Sex and
So,
war and things like that.
I mean, knowing that our Darwin evolution isn't linear the way he thinks or thought, and that we actually have side spliced DNA intervention, I would say they probably are one of them that has tampered with our DNA. And I think the reason they did it was to try to stop the Great Awakening.
Hmm.
Because if they're the overlords of our world right now, they wouldn't want us to wake up.
No, they're happy with the way things are right now, right? Where they can feed off of
Yeah,
all these emotions that they're stirring
yeah,
up in us. Yeah.
right. We can just be loosh.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that they did some tampering,
Yeah. Well,
but
so
I also think nothing's going to stop this Great Awakening from happening, no matter what they do.
and it may be all very well part of the plan as well to have a little bit of that spliced in us as well, because that would speak in volume if we were to make it through
That's true,
this
and that's true.
with free
It
will at
both
hand.
both sides of the coin speak volumes.
Right. That's a true way of a species making it through to the other side, making it from what we're in 3D into the 5D, or higher. So
Right?
maybe that's the step when they say no, they got to do it for themselves. They always say, how come they don't come down and save us? That's not their job. Their job
Yeah.
is 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 to help us find ourselves
Hmm.
and to save ourselves. And maybe that's how we can save ourselves is is just tipping the numbers, like you said. We're almost there. We got to reach a certain amount of souls in this awakening for it to tip to the
Yep.
side that we need, to continue on with this aquarium, this
Right.
this great awakening.
Yeah. This new age of Aquarius. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. And I even noticed today several different videos that come through my YouTube feed were trying to say that the Great Reset and the New World Order stuff is just um, the same thing as like this new age of Aquarius talk, where they give us false power and then they really just dupe us and take us over. And I was like, no, I think that's just another way that they're trying to intervene and hijack our good stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
And I don't think that I don't think we're like all brainwashed, right? I mean, I've experienced and studied a lot of different types of brainwashing and MK Ultra and those programs,
right.
and that's not what this is because I've had this for as long as I had a thought in my head and could speak to tell my parents, and they always told me I was crazy. So, like, at some point you're gonna stop if it's not something that you feel in your soul is truth, and that's different from brainwashing. That's totally different, in my opinion.
Hmm. Sometimes I wonder if a lot of what I feel is part of my wishful thinking and hopeful thinking. How you were describing the reptilians. You didn't want that to be true, kind of like a cognitive dissonance. Like the game that you play in your head to help you move forward comfortably. So when
Hmm.
I like last time we talked about trust issues and trusting YouTube with their 432
Right.
meditation videos and toothpaste and deodorants and stuff. And uh I just wonder how far that goes sometimes. you know how far does all this really go? And is it wishful thinking on my part to think that it was all sugar plums and fruitcakes and I haven't been regressed. So I there's a lot of detail to my experience, for example, that I don't know about. There's just, you know, the beginning and the end really of a few experiences. Maybe if I were to get regressed, maybe I would find out, you know, something different, and
Mhm.
and then I would reflect on all the good. But then I tell myself, no, this has all been a good thing. I have gotten nothing but good out of this. You know, this is what is, it's led me to meditation. It's led me to the colors that you describe, the frequencies that you describe, the angels that you describe.
Yeah.
It's led me to all of this. So it's like it has to be good, right? But there's always that reserve in my mind. Are you just wishful thinking, Mike? Are you just hoping that, you know, you're part of the Pleiadians? Because there's a lot of things out there that are telling me I am, but I've never went out and said it. And
Right.
you could see by my reaction when you asked me that, my response, and it's always, I don't want to be that guy. I don't mean to sound like that,
I knew what you meant.
but I'm not that brave yet to go out, and I'm still learning so much. You know, I can only learn so much from each. There's so many subjects
Yeah.
that I'm interested in. You know, it's I'm just all over the place. You know,
And
sometimes.
that's okay. And that's okay. You know, sometimes we need to be all over the place because it's not easy to focus in just one spot for very long, or it's not comfortable, you know, and that's okay to move around. And it's okay to not be sure. And it's totally okay to want to seek further validation.
Right.
And for me personally, when I was regressed about 3 years ago, that was the most amazing experience I have ever had in my life. Not only did it give me validation, but it also gave me further insight into things that I had not actually had in my surface memories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned a lot more about myself, which opened a lot more doors to a lot more questions and a lot of further inner seeking and growth. And it's just been a really beautiful journey for me. And I'm still learning. You know,
Yeah.
I'm learning every single day something different. Sorry, my bad.
Mm. All good.
So yeah, I mean it's perfectly okay and I think necessary to question, to take baby steps, to go slow, to look over here for a while and not always focus in one spot because if you always focus in one spot, you're not going to get to your answers faster and you're either going to get burned out or become obsessed and neither one is good, you
Right.
know?
Either one is healthy.
Right.
That's another thing is a lot of experiencers, you know, end up getting depressed and getting addicted to something or another,
Yeah.
and sometimes even suicide, you know.
Yes.
um you're forced
Yes.
to pretty much live a double life in most cases. It's
Mhm.
the people that are the closest to you that don't understand your situation at all, and
That's right.
you know, we tend to
It makes
reach
it
out
very difficult.
a lot to other experiencers.
Mhm.
And then, you know, when you get into that world, you know, you realize, wow, there's corruption in this world. Of course there's corruption everywhere. You know, there's people trying to
Yeah.
taint, and you think you're going to escape that stuff, you know, following something that you're so passionate about. But no, it's been hijacked. You know,
Mhm.
you just got to keep following your gut and hope that you're taking the right path, you know.
Right. You got to keep checking in with your gut to make sure you're on the right path, for sure. And I feel like all of that is actually divinely orchestrated anyway, all the way back to the family not necessarily being who we can go to and turn to. Number one, if we're meant to be a beacon for others, how can we be a beacon and stand out amongst the masses if everybody around us has the same light and the same understanding?
Mm,
So I think it's important that we're all in these different places to be beacons or pillars of light.
right. To have that contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, it's part of our learning our resilience, learning what true willpower really is, what true resilience really is, what true self love really is, even because you have to be able to nurture yourself and tell yourself that it's okay to not understand everything right now. And it's okay that you faltered at something and, just try again next time. We got to learn to do that for ourselves because we don't do that enough for the self.
Right.
We can do that really well for other people, but it's really hard for us to do it for ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a necessary thing to learn as well. It
Wow.
was for me anyway.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to what are your thoughts on thought, the power of thought?
Wow. I think it's very powerful. I think it's a manifesting tool. Um, I think even when it starts as a thought and then it becomes a word. So thoughts are powerful, and I think words are just as powerful because it took that powerful thought to create that word,
Hmm.
and and that word creates sound, and that sound creates a vibration. And I
Yeah,
think it all begins with that thought, though. Thought is very powerful, and sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt me. I think those things that are said like that when you're little makes you think, you know, that okay, I should just brush it off, and then be tough about it, But in reality, words hurt. They really
they
do.
they do. Yeah. That's why we all say that kids are the meanest people on the planet because kids can be so off the cuff, honest and raw with somebody else,
Yeah.
and it's really hurtful. Really, really hurtful. And yeah, I think they told us that as a lie because they didn't want us to realize the power of words, the power of that vibration. And as you were actually going through all of that, I was reminded of the Bible verse in Genesis about God's creation, right?
Hmm.
Because first he had a thought and then with the word he created, right?
Right.
And we're
Yeah.
we're understanding scientifically now that that meant a vibration that then led to a manifestation of a physical form. We understand cymatics,
Hmm.
and that you can see the physical form being created from the sound vibration.
Right.
Um, and I think that was Jesus's point to his messages. I think that his truest message was that this is why we can go forth and do the same great works as he and then some, right? Because
Right.
if we understand that thought is powerful, then we also understand that we're co-creators.
Right. And I
Yeah.
also believe that that third temple that they were talking about building may very well be our temple, our
Uh-huh.
temple, our body, our this is the temple that we're occupying right now.
You got some good foresight there, boy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when I realized Ezekiel had seen, the wheel within the wheel, and I just absorbed everything Ezekiel, and the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Enoch, and it just it was just amazing. I learned a little bit about the first two temples, and they always get destroyed at some point, right?
Hmm.
You can't destroy the third temple. He's got all these instructions, very specific instructions of how tall each brick is supposed to be and where it's supposed to be lined up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it's all these details on how to make this third temple. Where's the third temple going to be built? And it's just a thought that I had that, wow, if you point to your temple right now. There it is. That's the third
There's
temple.
your
It's
temple.
it's
Hmm.
it's 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 everything that I've learned recently, which it all comes back to you. It starts with you, and then you become that beacon, and it becomes contagious. People are
Yeah.
attracted to you. Your light changes, your
Yeah.
aurora gets brighter, and you start lining yourself up with your higher self.
That's right. That's right. And our pineal gland sits on the throne, right? In the
Yeah.
temple.
Wow,
I mean,
yes.
right? And that's our crown jewel. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah,
There's
there's crystal in there. There's what do they
right.
call it? Pisial, you know.
Piseal, pisceal, however you want
Yeah,
to pronounce
yeah,
it.
like a
Yeah.
calcite. They said that there's
Yes.
actually a calcite there. So
Yeah.
it's and it vibrates, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how you know break that calcium buildup from all that fluoride and
Yep.
whatever else. It's not just the fluoride anymore, you know, it's an
Right.
accumulation of many things to keep us
It's the
down, right?
aluminum and the
Right.
mercury and
Yep.
all of it. Yeah, all the
That's
heavy
why
metals. Yep.
I use that elite shungite and I soak my water in that. That's my
Nice.
drinking water, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'm just trying.
Yeah. I drop a crystal in my glass of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just have to make sure it's a big enough crystal it don't look like my ice.
Right. Yeah.
Don't want it looking like my ice.
Yeah.
I just dropped my something down here. I don't even know what I dropped. Oh well, I'll find it later. Whatever it was.
What do you
Yeah.
think of the crystal moldavite?
I love moldavite. I
I do
really
too.
love it. But I love all stones. Like I wear a ton of stones, right? Like this one's a blue lace agate, angel wing.
Yes. Yeah.
This one's my absolute favorite little stone. It's called unakite. It's
Oh
pink,
yes.
pink and green, and it's only found
Yes.
in Indiana and Russia.
Yes, I'm familiar. I have a piece of
I love
yes, that was one of
unakite.
yes.
Uh-huh. I love unakite. But I have like rocks sitting all over my house because rocks will call to me and I will go pick them up and bring them home.
Oh yeah, I don't pass up rocks either or feathers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like they speak to me through their soul. And people used to think that I was crazy for saying that actually, but I started teaching them that you can hold any kind of stone in the palm of your hand and feel it with your fingertip chakra points, your little chakra points.
Okay.
You can hold the stone and feel it, and you can feel its pulse. Each stone has a different type of pulse, a different type of vibration. And once you start getting in tune with where the rocks come from, what their elements are, what they're made from, then you can understand their vibration is telling you a story of their elements that are within them, right? If it's
Right.
made mainly in water, you're going to feel more of a water flow type energy, but you're also going to feel a little something grounded and earthy if there's a little earth to it too, right?
Right.
Like hematite is made in water, but it's found on the floor of the creeks. So it's got a little grit to it, right?
Uh-huh.
A
Keep
little
you
weight
grounded. Yeah.
to keep it grounded, and you can feel that in it. Yeah, and it's actually naturally magnetic too, which is a cool thing. But I love rocks, all rocks.
You know, it's funny. It's the crystals that I end up buying for my wife. I, I I want those crystals. Now I figured it out. Whenever I'm, you know, I go crystal shopping, I'm like, oh, she'll like this, you know. So I got on this calcite thing, and I started getting every, you know, okay, I got watermelon calcite, I got orange calcite, I got green calcite, blue calcite. Every time I go to the crystal store, I see another calcite, and I never took the time to, you know, I admired them and stuff as I chose them and brought them to my wife and gave them to her and watched her put them where they needed to go, and I can always visit them and stuff. But I never thought, I was like, Mike, get yourself some calcite. There's just something about anyone, you know. So I'm just now starting to build up my calcite collection. But there's definitely something about that calcite. It feels tremendous to me. Kyanite's really powerful, and that was the one that really kicked it off for me. Was black kyanite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Go ahead.
Have you ever thought to look up their spiritual meanings?
I
Because
think I have.
they do have spiritual attributes attached to them,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you all the details of all the attributes of the crystals and stuff, but I've definitely looked into them, and I know that the black kyanite, from what I gather, it lights up all your chakras at once. It doesn't need to be used in
Awesome.
conjunction with other crystals. Um, it's one of those where it instantly, supposedly, takes care of them all in one shot.
Wow.
One what is that? One shot stop.
Right. One stop shop.
There you go. Yeah. I like to butcher everything, by the way.
That's okay. I say things backwards too. It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, next question. What are your thoughts on like the 20 and back program and the super soldiers and like the SSP, the Secret Space Force and Galactic Federation and all this stuff?
Well, unfortunately, I believe that, the technology that we did receive, that went towards the dark stuff. I believe that must have happened. I don't like just like rabbit holes. I mean, that is a rabbit hole. Um, I get it. I believe it. I believe in the deep underground military bases. Dumb.
Yeah.
I believe. There's some people that have lost their lives after speaking. Whistleblowers about
Yeah.
what's going on. And I believe that. 1 second you think you're signing up for a regular tour, a regular service in the military, and before you know it, you've done 20 and back. You know,
Mhm.
I believe it. To me, it seems a bit darker. Something that doesn't have anything to do with keeping our vibrations up in any way.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
yeah, it's another hijacked technology gone the other way, and it's done a lot more harm than distractions, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with that. Yeah. Because and the reason I brought that up is because there are a lot of people and the whole purpose of us doing these shows is to show people that abduction is more of a positive thing more often than not and that interaction with aliens is more of a positive thing more often than not. And like there's so many people in ufology and that type of fields that are focused on those kind of things that really just sort of I feel like bring their vibration down, make it heavier.
Yeah,
And so it does hijack or negate from our great awakening, our raising our vibration. So I think it's important that people really learn discernment with feeling how they feel inside when they're listening to these different things so that they can know, which way to focus more energy on, intention on, right? Because
yeah,
where attention goes, energy flows, right?
yeah. I've never heard a secret space program experiencer ever really, talk about meditation and reaching their higher self and things like that. It's more along the
Right.
lines of they remember the schooling and the classing, and they remember other, seeing other people that were in charge of this, and it was just, oh, I
Right.
don't
And
know what.
yeah, see, it's heavy, right?
Yeah, it's a
Like
lot.
it's heavy.
Not to
Yeah.
turn your back to it at all. I know I believe it. I definitely believe it.
Right. But we shouldn't be focusing so much
Right.
attention there when it's so heavy. And that's what I find probably the most difficult with other star children or abductees that I interact with is that they want to focus on those areas really heavily. And I don't know how to help them sort of transition to more uplifting, positive thoughts and things to focus on, right? It's once they're there, it seems like their claws are in it, right? They don't want to let go.
Hmm.
So if you've got any tips for me there, I'd greatly, greatly take them.
Different strokes for different folks. We like you were talking about last time, everyone's got a different timing on their awakenings, and sometimes, unfortunately, you got to go down those rabbit holes, those dark, low vibrating places, and you got to stick around a while, and hopefully you can get out of there before you lose your mind. Like
Right.
we were talking about earlier, a lot of people turn to alcohol and pills and things like
Yeah.
that.
Or suicide,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah.
right. So the ones that don't do it, if they try to reach out, you tend to find a lot of people that are new to the game every day. I see your
Hmm.
group, it's growing so fast,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I
Yeah.
see these people with their first posts, and it reminds me a lot of when I when I first started, joining groups that were more trustworthy.
Mhm.
It all started off with, okay, I want to absorb myself with all UFO everything, and I joined every UFO group. The more the
Yeah.
merrier, I thought. And then I quickly learned that those larger groups were not very healthy for me at all. I didn't feel comfortable to share my experience at all. So I created my own, and I kept it private, and that's been about 7 years now, and it's a small group. um but yeah, you just learn so much from the other commonalities of the other experiencers, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, the group is growing pretty fast, and but it also is very naturally sort of balancing itself out too. Have you noticed? There's
Uh,
been like this really easy flow of the heavier, more negative people, that want to come in with the fear porn and stuff, tend to usually go away quite
Kind
easily.
of fade away a little bit, yeah, and it
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because they don't like all of our cheerfulness, I guess.
yeah,
Maybe
and
that's what it is.
they may even look at it like, we're not open enough, for it, and it's just not that. It's just we don't like to operate from it. It seems like,
Hmm.
you don't see a lot of people that talk a lot about that, and they also talk about the positive. Like, there's no happy medium there. It's all or nothing. It's this, like, they deal in absolute. That's kind of how I feel like I deal with things a lot too in life. I deal in absolute. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's got to be a happy medium there. These things are there. If you like it
Hmm.
or not, they're there. And you
Most
just
definitely.
you just got to trust the process, and embrace it. Not be so abrasive. Just embrace it. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Go with the flow.
Yeah, like Bruce Lee said, like water.
That's
Be like
right.
water.
Yeah. Yeah. My Tai Chi instructor used to say, walk softly like cat. And I loved that. I was like, yeah,
Yeah, they
walk
are
softly
ninjas.
like cat. They really are.
Yep.
You don't hear them coming.
No.
Yeah. Till they pounce on you. But yeah. um, I think we've got a pretty good balance in the group. You know, there's plenty of people there that have their own experience or expertise that are very good about helping people to, quell their fears and
Yeah,
worries about things. So I think it's a good group.
yeah, like I was
I,
saying, when, just listening to some of these posts, it really does remind me of, my first, time where I was nervous and scared to type out my story and press send and post it on this group, and
hmm.
all of a sudden I'm in this world of UFOs, and I trust these people. I believe them, and I'm close friends with a lot of them. I'm able to retain, a circle of friends of white light that I really trust, and
Yeah.
and they believe me, because I didn't realize it, but I wasn't ready for it. But I ran into some negative things in some of these groups, from people that I really trusted, some from people
Yeah.
that actually brought me into that world, that had, really good intentions, people that I've lined my energy up with completely and trusted. And come to find out, it's like, wow, that hurt, and it tainted my passion a little bit, and almost made me take a step back in my trusting issues with the paranormal, and groups
Yeah.
and things like that. So I just been trying to regain my light again within the ufology. you know
Yeah. And you're right. It is hard to kind of keep it there because there's a lot of. I mean, there's bickering even between the ufologist people, the UFO world. People really want to argue their belief, almost like it's become a religion
I'm
in a
telling
lot of
you,
ways.
yeah,
It's crazy.
just like when you're watching, one of my favorite shows is, Ghost Adventures. Even these guys are making fun of UFO stuff sometimes, and it's
Right.
like,
Right.
look at this little prejudice that's within our paranormal world,
Right.
and how you were talking about the werewolf, or no, Dracula, right? Dracula or the word, yeah, Dracula,
Vampires. Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah.
You know, I
Didn't want
I
them in there.
I didn't believe, Bigfoot, or what's next,
Hmm.
Loch Ness monster, and it's
Right.
like,
Right.
if you haven't experienced it, I could see how it may sound silly. I could see how
Hmm.
someone may think my experiences sound silly. Seeing is believing. There's people out
Yeah.
there that have experienced these things.
That's right. That's right. And I really liked the gentleman, I think it was yesterday in our group, brought up seeing Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I really thought that that was great that he did that because it is actually all connected. Like
Right.
the paranormal, the ghost stuff,
Yeah.
talking to the spirit world. Some of it's not actually ghosts and it's aliens and people just get it confused, right?
Yeah.
And then the alien stuff and Bigfoot stuff, like it's all connected, the spiritual stuff. It really is all part of the same puzzle.
Right. Are we
We
part of
shouldn't we
Bigfoot?
shouldn't car 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 car
Compartment. Yeah.
thank
Label.
you,
Label everything.
compartmentalize it.
Yeah.
I could not make that word happen. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, maybe that Bigfoot, maybe that was the natural humanoid figure that was originally here, and maybe we
right.
used a little bit of that and a little bit of this and created
Yeah.
us with that.
And ta-da, here we are.
Yeah, some of us get pretty hairy.
Right? That's right. I
I've
had an
seen some of us.
ex-husband that was hella hairy.
See, we've seen some people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for real, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
they're
mean, it
all
could
they're
be.
all specifically related to the area that they're in. In
Hmm.
Louisiana, they're the short, lighter brown, longer, curly haired ones, and then you go up north to Washington State, and they're a little bit more taller and broad shouldered, and
Right.
it seems to make sense.
They're more swampy in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, down
Yeah.
there in the dirty.
Yeah. Call them the swamp apes. Yep. But that mug of theirs, that
Oh,
mug looks
yeah.
human. So there's something going on there.
I know there's something familiar when you look into their eyeballs.
Yeah. Something going on there. Something fishy. And yeah, for all you know, you could be right, and we came from them and something else, or maybe a few something else, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Oh yeah, we were mutts. We're probably mutts.
Heinz 57.
Yeah, we got it all.
Well, we're pretty cute in my opinion
Yeah, that's kind of how it
for mutt.
goes. Yep.
We turned
Got it.
out pretty cute.
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything. You know,
Yeah,
it's a little smorgasbord.
right. But we turned out in the Goldilocks zone. Oh, I like that.
Yep.
We're the happy medium I'm always looking for.
Is it the
How
Cherokee?
about that?
Are you with the Cherokee Indian?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, I have
Yeah.
I have that blood in my family too. I
Yeah.
I knew I knew that's what it was. I've been programmed to not ask
Cherokee
anybody.
people.
I've been programmed to not ask anybody what kind of Indian they are. I did that before. I embarrassed myself a long time ago. Uh,
Oh yeah.
a good friend of mine introduced me to his roommate, who was a native native
Yeah.
Indian, and the man looked every bit of native. He was a big, strong man, and he was Indian, and there was no
Yeah.
doubt about it. And so I asked him innocently. I didn't think about it, and I'm so glad that he checked me on this. It was an embarrassing moment that I definitely needed to hear. I
I
just asked
happen.
him this because I have a little Cherokee Indian in my bloodline.
Yeah.
From what I was told and from what I gather. So when I met this man, I said, "So, what kind of Indian are you?" And he goes, "Well, what kind of white man are you?"
Oh, I snorted.
Yeah, so did I at the time.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I understood what he did right, right away. I apologized.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could say to repair the question. I was trying to explain. Well, I have a little Cherokee in me, so that's why I no, it still didn't sound right. What kind of Indian are you?
Right.
What kind of white man are you? Oh boy, yeah. You put it that
Yeah.
way.
Well, I got enough Cherokee in me that I can look at another Indian and say, "What kind of Indian are you?"
Oh,
And I do because I'm bold that way, and I mean no disrespect to anybody when I talk like that. None
oh,
ones, and they don't take it that way either. They because usually I say it with some funny accent and a goofy look on my face, so I get by with it, I guess, because I'm a girl. But
yeah.
no.
We've been bouncing that voice off each other since we started. Kind of. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it too.
Yeah,
But it's all in fun. It's all in fun.
yeah, yeah,
It's all
yeah.
with smiles, and then
Right,
it's to
right.
make you smile as well. So to keep you
Yeah,
smiling as well.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm just silly like that when I ask people questions too. And I mean, I will walk straight up to a total stranger on the street and ask them questions like that.
But that's
I'm
like a kid.
brazen.
That's like a
Yeah,
child, though. You're fresh from the other side. You're
that's right.
untainted.
Yeah,
That could be good in most cases, sometimes bad. Like you were saying
right,
earlier, we could be
right,
bad as children, but we need
right.
that too. We
Hmm.
need a kid to we have this lady that would come to our house every once in a while, and she would always wear the shirt really high, and she got the belly button pierced, and she was really proud of it, and really wanted to make it look cute and stuff. But it's something you don't talk about when she comes and visits the house. But
Hmm.
but if there's a child there, I like your belly button,
Yep.
and it's the person's like, oh my gosh, they're like kind of giggling and a little embarrassed, but it's like, well, what do you expect?
Right.
You got this pretty belly button, with a
Right.
the kid's gonna call you out on that if you like it or not.
That's right. And that's me. I just walk through life with my childlike wonder.
There that and that's what it is right there, is retaining the
Yeah.
childlike wonderment qualities.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people, "Ooh, girl, I love your hair," or "I love them shoes," or "Mister, you looking fine today."
Yep.
Like I am always throwing that stuff out to people. Always, always. I'm like,
Yep.
"Oh my God, I love that necklace you're wearing." Right? Like, especially if it's a stone.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I
See.
mean, I don't know a stranger. I really don't. My people tell me I can't take you nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm just friendly everywhere I go. I'm just friendly. But we should be, right?
Yeah.
You could be that one compliment that they wish they'd gotten from somebody else and never got and change their world, right?
When you realize
What a beautiful thing.
how significant a small gesture like that is, it's
Yeah.
yeah, you wonder.
Kindness is beautiful.
It is.
And it makes me feel good to spread kindness.
I bet if I close my eyes and think hard enough, I'll remember my very first kindness. It was my magic kindness.
Your magic kindness.
Yeah.
Sound like a preacher. Magic kindness. All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Hmm. Well, I do have another UFO experience that I had with a cousin,
Oh, do
but
tell.
that is a long one. And
Oh, is it?
it is a long one. It's a confusing one. Um, it's one that left me with some kind of evidence
Oh,
that I can't quite wrap my head around, and it may be far fetched for me to even assume. I don't know. Um,
my
this
God,
is
you just gave our cliffhanger for the show.
Oh boy.
Tune in next week.
Yeah. This is where a lot of the feeling of Pleiadian came into play for me. Was through my cousin. My cousin Don had an experience. He lives in Florida, and I guess he was having an experience with the UFO night after night, and after a couple of nights, he decided to call old Mikey over here on the West Coast. I'm the UFO guy of the family, so he said, "Hey, I've got this UFO that I keep filming out my bedroom window every night." And well, I'm like, "Well, get out there, get outside, quit showing me stuff from inside your window. Go on
Right.
out there, see how far you can get.
Go Rambo it.
Yeah, go get her, boy."
Yeah.
And so that's what he did. And a lot of the times we were live with each other, screen to screen, FaceTiming or whatever.
Right on.
So I get him out the house, and he's trying to get closer to whatever he's seeing in the sky. I don't know what he's seeing. I'm not there. I'm just going off of his word. Uh, and all of a sudden, he keeps sending me these shots, these quick little videos. He doesn't make a video for more than 10, 15 seconds, of course. And he sends them to me, and he was starting to talk about a video that sounded really funny when he played it. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm the UFO guy here. Let's move on. And finally, when I took a few seconds to actually listen to what he was talking about, he's got a couple of videos that he sent me. One of them is a 17-second video, Kelly, that his phone presents itself as. You can see it. It's part of the evidence. It's time stamped evidence of a 17-second video of him standing there holding his phone up to the light in the sky. And when you play this 17-second video, it actually plays out about 34 seconds long with some really interesting audio. It's amazing the things that you hear in this audio. I've been trying to get this stuff analyzed. You
I
hear
want to hear it.
you hear water, you hear items being placed on a hard surface. And when I say water, I hear something oscillating, I hear dripping, I hear something ticking. Um, so
OMG.
yeah, what it really sounds like is what you would hear if you were inside a craft as somebody's being taken,
Right. Right.
and the typical clothing being taken off and set to the side, and the whole being laid out on a medical table.
Uh-huh.
um and
Oh my gosh.
and waiting till you hear the frequency, or the vibration of the audio of these videos. It triggered me. It triggered me so bad that I believe it was custom made for me, because as soon as I heard it, I was taken. I was taken into my family consciousness. It felt like the book of the tree of life. It felt like the records, the con. What are those records called,
The
Kelly?
Hall of Records
Yeah, but it
and the
felt.
Akashic.
There you go. Thank you. It felt like the
Hmm.
Akashic records, but more of our family
Right.
records.
Right.
And as soon as I heard this sound, it took me to how a couple of other family members that recently passed away, that were heavily into drugs and addictions. I felt how ashamed they were when they passed away and when they left us. I
Oh,
felt how ashamed they were, and they know how we remembered them, and they're embarrassed for us having to remember them by that. That's not how they wanted to do things. And I
yeah.
felt that, and I became so emotional. And I also felt a tremendous amount of guilt for pushing my cousin to go further, closer to the UFO, because I felt guilty from what I was listening to tell you the truth, Kelly. I really felt like this was something that was going on board this craft. And there's a timestamp discrepancy there's a math. Oh, that's why I think I'm going to have your son take a look at some of these numbers and see what he does with them. Your son with the good math, you said
Hmm.
that he's
Yeah.
really good with math.
Yeah.
What we have here is two separate videos. One is a 17-second video. Another one is like a 30-second video. And like I said, this 17-second video, when you play it, it's it's over 30 seconds long. And then when you play this 31-second video, it's over just over 3 minutes long, and it's the same
Wow.
sounds, just a little bit more muffled. Um, but yeah, these are some of the things that kind of make me think, is this what makes you go
Wow.
crazy? Is this the stuff that makes you go a little
I
too much?
mean,
It's a
yeah,
little
it
too
can.
much.
It can. If you're
But
not grounded about it, it can. Yeah.
if you take what I just told you along with some of the things that my cousin was telling me, he doesn't talk. My cousin doesn't talk like this. My cousin was telling me that these are the Pleiadians, and he was telling me that they know who I am. They told him that this was a gift. These two videos that he sent me was a gift to me that I did not understand. And it took a while to completely figure it out. Like, oh, is this the formula to the missing time that these abductees are experiencing? Is there a formula here that I'm getting? Or if this is this something that if I
It's a
present to the
vibration.
world, maybe, I mean, or is this something that if I present to the world, I would just be made fun of and discredited like Billy Myers, with the stuff that Billy Myers, is going through, and
Right.
with the channeling that he gets with the Pleiadians and stuff. It's
Right.
interesting, and I just wonder how far the messages I'm getting are real, and how much of it is me going a little too far with it, and you know what I mean? Because once you open
Sure.
that mind, sometimes it's unhealthy if it's a little too open. But
Sure.
yeah,
And I totally get that because even now, with where I'm at, and I'm very comfortable with who I am and where I've came from and all that I've learned. And for the most part, everybody that knows me knows at least the basics, right? But still, there are some things that I will be like, is that too far? Is that too much information? How will people perceive? And it's not even anymore that I second guess it for me. I know that it's my truth. It's just still being concerned with how others are going to perceive you,
yeah,
right?
it's healthy. I think it's healthy.
And sure, I think it's healthy, but I also feel like um, there's some point in our soul growth where we just,
Mm.
throw balls to the wall and say, F it if they don't want to be on board with it, whatever, this is my truth, right? And
Yeah,
I need to own that shit. I need to be
yeah,
liberated from that, right?
and
Because
stop.
I think that holds us back and it
It,
keeps us from
it does.
shining fully, right?
It does.
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
So we're all learning that.
We're always afraid of what others think. Well,
Yeah.
that's something that's been I've heard definitely a lot in my lifetime so far, is quit worrying about who cares what anyone thinks. And sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta, you know, force yourself
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, or at least you convince yourself to force yourself to do that, right?
And right. And then other people see how confident you are being, and it's inspiring to others.
It
And
is.
it helps them get out of their little niches, their little I'm
Yeah.
afraid to speak in this group, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So we're not just helping ourselves, we're actually helping other people
Yeah, if we
as
like it
well.
or not.
And that's a really beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really beautiful how symbiotic all of our relationships and connections are
Yeah.
and continue to prove to be, right? Because
Yep.
we're all growing and we're all learning from each other. And I mean, I say this in the group all the time that we're all in this together, right?
Right.
I don't have all the answers just because it's my group. I might have a lot of answers, but there are other people that give some really brilliant, great answers to things and guidance for things that I genuinely appreciate seeing
Right.
happening in that group. You know,
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
love the way everyone is sort of coming to the table with their own
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle. And that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. If we're going to figure this out, we can't, none of us can think that we have the monopoly on it. There's all these bigger high names in ufology and stuff that think they have it all figured out and they don't have room for anybody else's information or their piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And I think all of us are an intricate part.
Absolutely. It's, we're amongst the group that is considered sea level. We're 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 right here, we're untainted in a sense where we haven't been persuaded by the big bucks or a big show, a big movie, or and not to say that I would love to have to be part of a documentary or a movie that is explaining or my experience. That's one of my goals. I would love
Yeah.
to be able to, with the technology that we have, to show you exactly what experienced.
Wouldn't that be
With
amazing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just like to perfect that experience and share that, but there's a point where, a lot of people kind of just sell out in a sense, and just start going for more of the mainstream,
Yeah.
I like this wave, this wave is taking me places, and
Mhm.
it's tough. You don't know if you're going to be that kind of person until you actually are there.
Yeah.
But until then, a lot of that stuff is just sea level, and these experiencers are where it's at. We are the real truth behind
Yeah.
what everyone's waiting for. It's not sitting around waiting for what the Pentagon has to say next, or
Right.
or Lou, what Lou has to say.
Alejandro. Yeah.
I i don't know. I haven't read his book. Maybe if I have time,
Yeah.
I'll check it out. But I have my reservations, and I'm not completely
Mhm.
totally into his stuff, because he was, let's face it, he was part of the problem for so long. He was part,
Right.
who
Right.
knows.
Yeah.
I just know what I know, and with the other fellow experiencers down here on the sea level, that we're the ones that are getting the experiences.
Yeah.
These people are spending big money, and they got unlimited amounts of budget that they can use, and they
Mhm.
and they probably get frustrated because it's the people like us, the experiencers on the ground, in the trenches. They're the ones that we're the ones that they want to visit and keep an eye on and learn.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I love your whole concept there of the documentary thing. We should make like a mass documentary of like mass experiencers, right?
Heck yeah.
And have somebody really crushing it on the CGI stuff to get the imagery just right and shit because like we are the story, right? We are the real story.
Yeah.
Who cares what they found in Roswell in whatever 1947? Who cares now, right? Whatever
Yeah.
they've got, they're still not going to tell us, and it's 2024. So we need to be telling what we know. We need to be talking about what we know, and that's fresh, new information. It's not the same stale, regurgitated
Yeah.
stories of
Right.
old. You know, a lot of people think that abductions don't even happen anymore in present day in 2024. They're of this misnomer that even if it did happen at Roswell and even if it did happen, in the what was that British
Rendlesham.
or Rendlesham Forest, yeah, that it just doesn't happen anymore. And look, I last time I checked, July 9th was the last time I got taken, 2024.
It's
Right?
always in July too.
It's always in July. Yeah.
Yep. And people just go straight to Area 51, and it's like, oh, what do
Yeah.
you think about Area 51? And it's like, yeah, they're probably very well with something to that, but I'm so past Area 51,
Right.
and
Let's move on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
those were story getters. Those were, I
Yeah.
get.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes of stuff.
Yeah, I'm past. I want to believe I'm past Area
Right.
51. I'm
Right,
we're
right.
on to
My
bigger and better
tinfoil hat.
things.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be like epic if we could orchestrate our own documentary and dedicate slots to all of these really
Yeah,
interesting
we
experiences.
we got the people.
We'd have like this mind-blowing documentary, right?
Yeah, they
With
could very
fresh
well.
new evidence.
Yeah, fresh new evidence.
Yeah. Love
Yeah,
it.
there's people probably
Hot off
sitting
the
in our
press.
group right now that are little puzzle pieces.
Oh my
It's just.
god, there are like
Mm-hmm.
in the just in this past today's not even I mean this week really hasn't even started, but I've already talked to so many people. My mind is just spinning. Um, I've spoken with a man who was part of the secret space program
Mhm.
and remembers being a warrior. I've spoken with another gentleman who vividly remembers being a Pleiadian before he came here,
Mhm.
right? And
I
he remembers hearing the call to come here to help Earth. Like, those are incredible stories. And
Yeah.
these are lifelong experiencers of alien abduction and their families, their
Mhm.
children, their parents, their grandparents, like have all had these experiences. They're not just some kook on the street that's like, yeah, this is what happened to me because they want, images of grandeur or whatever. Like
Mhm.
they've got really detailed information and
Right.
photographic evidence and great
Yeah.
video
Right.
evidence.
Mhm.
I'm just
Artistic evidence.
incredibly
Yeah.
blown away. Yeah. I mean, we seriously could do our own documentary. We really could because
Yeah.
I got great footage coming in just in the past few days.
Yeah, they're speaking of the elders, holding hands, making a circle around you and healing you with, a crystal floating in the middle of you. I mean, this stuff
Right?
just sounds right up my league. It makes sense. You know how you hear things and you're like, that makes
Oh,
complete
yeah.
sense
Oh,
to
yeah.
me. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe that
It's like
100%.
it's like we've got a truth radar in
Yeah,
us,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
And we're like, "Yep, that's truth," and "Nope, that's bullshit," and "Well,
Yeah,
that's got some truth."
absolutely. That's what
Yeah,
I meant. That's
yep,
exactly what I
yep.
meant.
Bullshit radar.
Instantly.
Yeah, 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 I think we totally have a knack for that. It's like we naturally can read the energy of people and know if they're bullshitting or not,
Yeah.
or no, or see when they start to bullshit. Have you ever noticed that? Like somebody can be totally telling the truth about something and you're like really vibing with it, and then all of a sudden they kind of veer left and you're like, whoa, where'd they go there? Their energy just changed,
Whoa, no,
right?
I
Like when
haven't even
people
thought
want to
about that.
elaborate on their story, right?
Huh,
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah,
think
kinda
about
tune in more when you're listening to people talk because you can totally pick up on those little energy changes where they
huh,
sorta, they veer off this way or they veer off that way and the energy changes. Because sometimes you can veer off and it's pertinent to whatever and the vibe is still the same, right? It's like, "Oh,
okay,
yeah,"
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
right.
Like, "Okay, and I need to tell you this part, and it goes along with that, and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,"
you and
and the vibe's all the same, but then they're like, "Oh, let me tell you this," and it sounds like total bullshit.
yeah, it's like
Just
they
'cause they wanna make sure they
right,
sound
yeah,
more, I guess,
right, it
right?
has to be every part of it's gotta be entertaining or something, when
Right,
in fact, it doesn't, you're
right.
basically reaching a little bit,
Yeah, and it kinda
and it's
takes away from the truth
unnecessary.
part.
Yeah, it takes away
Yeah,
from the credibility, absolutely.
right, right.
And some of those feelings of bouncing around that you may feel from them could very well be their confidence in whatever they decided to go with on that
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Like there's some experiences that you have where you're like, you know what, I'm still not sure about that one.
Yep,
There's times where
yep,
I remember a blue light flashing up. Like a plasma blue light coming up from the bedroom floor. I just happened to catch it on the side of my eye, and I was just like, that did now that's silly. Like,
uh-huh,
I'm not even going to talk about that.
yeah,
And then you end up talking about it because there's always someone like you that you could trust, and you're like, you know what? I'm glad that we talked today because I want to throw this at you. You know,
yeah,
uh,
and you know what?
who knows?
I'm glad we talked today because I wanna throw this at you.
Okay,
I've actually seen that blue beam thing happen,
yeah.
and I've never really talked about that. It literally played out on a live podcast that I was doing with a fella from Australia named David that I used to do podcasts with years ago. He saw the blue beam on my wall and I didn't even notice it. It happened behind me. And he's like, "Kelly, what was that right behind you?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Some blue beam just went across the top of your wall." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "What that? I ain't never had such a thing happen before in my life." And it really kind of spooked me. And, so I kind of chuckled it off and we finished up the podcast and wrapped it up. And then I hit replay and I saw that and it really unnerved me because I didn't know how to process that. I still really don't know what caused it, where it came from, how can this happen, you know? So I just
Mhm.
sort of put it back here and was like, you know, that's something we just won't really talk about with too many people because that just sounds real woo woo. Even though
Yeah.
it was caught on video and I saw it with my own eyes, everybody that was watching saw it.
Yeah.
It still it felt really like surreal to me, right?
Yeah, it's that electroplasm blue light, it's
Yes.
something about, I don't know if it's a part of the fabric of another dimension that's just really
I never
right
thought
along.
about that.
Right. It could very well be part of the fabric of that electromagnetic field. It could be just
Yeah. Like they just unzipped a window or something.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Unzip and
Don't look behind the
peeking
curtain.
peeking through the shutter at you. Shit. That's kind of creepy though, really. I mean, it's cool, but it's kind of creepy.
hmm
You have to admit, and because we don't understand all of the science yet, right? I mean, quantum physics has thrown regular physics out the window completely.
Oh yeah, they've thrown quantum on everything now.
Oh Lord. I mean, like with all of the quantum physics applied, truth what we know as true physics doesn't even work anymore. Like, it doesn't work with the fabric of our universe. And so we're new again at learning science, right?
Yeah.
Because we got to understand this quantum field. What
Right.
does that mean?
hmm
Non-local. What? When, NASA wrote an article the other day that they just published that said that the universe is non-local. If you're
Hmm.
not observing it, it's not there. And I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
hold on.
Absolutely. That's what they
What?
say.
What?
They
What?
did that test.
They did that
They
test.
did that test where they took these protons and they threw them a certain way every time. And supposedly, if you do everything the exact same, these protons, when they hit a certain object, they should scatter in the same and do the same thing
Right.
every time.
Right.
But
You're talking
and
about the double slit experiment?
yeah, there you
Uh-huh.
go.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
if you're
And
observing
the
it,
more
it's happening.
observers, the more it changes. Doesn't that say that we're creators though?
Ooh. Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? So
Yeah.
if we can take that from the macro back
Here we
down here
go.
to the micro,
Here you go. As above, so below. Let's do
right?
that. Yeah.
And let's see this reality as
Mm-hmm.
a better way, right? Positive
Mm-hmm.
vibes, not looking at impending World War III and more shutdowns and lockdowns and all these,
Right.
things,
Right.
right? Let's
Being
focus
aware,
our
but not
energy.
operating. Yeah.
Right, right. Let's focus our attention over here. Great Awakening, Age of Aquarius, Kumbaya. Like, whatever, man. I don't even care if people judge me for it. Like, I prefer to look at the more positive things and the beautiful things that are changing in this world more so than the what ifs. What
Mm-hmm.
ifs will make you old quick.
If
Word is
some
a bad thing.
yeah, if some butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Oh, right. Right.
Quantum. So quantum quantum to me, when you hear quantum, what it feels like to me is when you're on a quantum level with somebody, it's like it doesn't matter how far you are from that person, you're still tied, similar to source, like you would
Yeah.
be tied to source.
Entangled.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Uh-huh.
that's what and it also sounds like a communication highway between you and someone else.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
that's what's one thing I'm actually able to do is I could pop in and out of other people's dreams.
Uh-huh.
I've done it in several occasions and didn't realize that that's what I was going to do. But
Uh-huh.
I can kind of give you a hint on kind of how I approached these things in order to do it, and it had to just do with a smile and love. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's that's definitely happened, and there's a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
On this quantum level.
Right. And that's how we can heal people,
Mhm.
even through prayer. That's how prayer can work, right?
Right. Yes.
Because it's a focused thought, a
Mm.
focused intent
Yeah.
on a specific outcome. Yeah.
Right.
Are you familiar with Coast to Coast AM, the
Yes,
radio
I am.
program?
Yeah.
Okay, so George Story does it now, but Art Bell started it,
Right.
where we would do these collective focused intent groups, right? Like Texas a long time ago was in a really bad drought, and that was one of the first places that we collectively focused on. Well, we ended up making them flood because we focused too much rain, right? Because it's trial and error. You got to learn
Sure.
how to do that the right
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So we actually created a flood because it rained so much so fast that the ground couldn't soak it all up.
Mhm.
And so we started learning how to dial it back and tweak it out and stuff. But um, that was for me, that was a real like powerful, eye opening moment for just how entangled we really are, you know?
Right.
Because I don't know a lick of nobody in Texas, but I sure did help them fix that drought, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And we've calmed a few hurricanes, and we've calmed a few volcanoes, and we've dispersed a few earthquakes, and like
Yeah.
different stuff. And humans, this soul that we are, is so incredible, and I'm so blessed and so excited to be alive for these like Confucius said, may you live in interesting times. Well, we sure do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, you get enough people on the same page and you can do something.
We can move a mountain.
And we know this.
Yeah. Yeah. On
That's what
some level, we
that's what
know it.
prayer is. That's what prayer is. That's why prayers work. That's, people call it just like everything else. It's called many things,
Yeah.
Call it what you want to, homie, but
Right.
you put it out there, it's out there. You put it out in the universe. If you're
Right.
sincere enough about something and it's coming from your heart, someone's listening. And you better be careful. You may forget. That's what I do sometimes. I put something out there and I tend to move on and forget. And they're like, "Hey, wait a minute. Remember you put this out there."
Yep. Yeah. Somebody, I forget who it was. I think it was maybe a Native American person that used to do sigils, like it's a where you draw an
Right,
image,
right.
right? And you put your intention into it. And they said then you throw it away and you forget about it. And then it happens. And I'm like, but how do you know if it ever happened if you forget about it? Like, that doesn't like call me blonde, but that just don't compute.
Yeah,
Right?
just kind of forget what you did, but not what you wanted out of it or what you needed out of it. Yeah,
Y-
I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess, but that's a little tricky, right? It's a little tricky to do that. I mean, I believe that it could work. I just ain't wrapped my mind around that kind of a. I don't mess with sigils, so it's not my gig. I'm more of a just shoot my focus intent on something and have faith it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Find me a mantra or a
Yep. Yep.
that's when you said a sigil, I pictured, like that's a meditation mantra, like you're physically drawing a mantra. This you're physically creating something that somebody's going to meditatively stare at. Someone's going
Right.
to lay their eyes on this art that you're laying out physically. It's a beautiful thing just thinking about that right now.
Yeah. I think symbols wake us up, don't you?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think when we look upon certain symbols and shapes and designs, something in us unlocks.
Yeah, it's sacred geometry. It's
Yeah.
it's like you said, macro, it, it starts at very well, all could be starting at a molecular level with things like the flower of life, the egg of life, the seed of life.
Right.
This is all sacred geometry, and the mysteries of the cosmos may very well be embedded in some of
Yeah.
these symbols. And when
Yeah.
you think about our subconscious, symbolically, we can gather more information symbolically than we can from how we spoke last week about, our barbaric way of talking. It just seems so dragged out and a lot of work just to get a certain amount of information,
Yeah.
when in fact, biologically, light, you get more information from light into a biological subject than you do
Right.
anything.
Right. Okay. I keep hearing something at my door.
There's a street sweeper back there.
I'm in the country.
Is there a waitress, a 50s, 60s waitress out there?
There might be. Oh, you know what? I never did tell you. After we did our show last week, a few days ago, it wasn't really a
I
week
know.
ago,
I know. It was
but yeah,
on the calendar. It was last week or the month.
yeah,
On the month, it told.
few days ago. Um, I have these new security cameras around my house, and so I've been watching them like every night, checking them out to see what you can see in the night vision and all those kind of things. And
Mm-hmm.
usually it's all quiet and normal, right? But after we did our show, during the show, I kept getting these alerts on my phone, movement detected, and I hadn't noticed. So I didn't look until we got finished. There was the strangest, weird beams of light moving across my roof of my house. And my alarm just went off in my driveway that somebody's out there.
Just now, or are you talking
Just
about?
now. Just
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. Just now went off. Like there's somebody out there walking around. Because it only picks up heat.
Hmm.
The alarm. But yeah, these weird ass beams of light were like weird walking sticks going all over my roof. And it had this one little point where the light would bend sometimes and it kind of looked like a little snake at the
Hmm.
bottom of it. And I'm like, I don't know what the crap this is. And I took videos of it. Like I'm gonna share them with you because
Hmm.
it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
Well, that's also something that I found kind of common within other experiencers. Once you get us together, things happen.
Yeah,
You get these different
definitely.
energies. You get our energies intertwined, um, and and things happen. It's just like
Yeah.
that. I have a friend, Marisol Smiley. She's a fellow experiencer that I love and trust very much, and I don't want her to go down a wrong path, an unhealthy path. And when I seen her taking pictures and talking about seeing rectangles in the sky, squares, to me, as to make a long story short, it looked a lot like pixelation. If you zoom in far enough to on anything, it's going to start pixelating, and you're going to start to see squares. And
Mhm.
how dare I question uh, Marisol, reflecting on that now. But at the moment, I was like, "Hey, Marisol, let me offer you a pixelation explanation." So what I did was I went on the balcony of my apartment at the time in San Leandro, and I just took a random shot of the sky, and I look at the picture and I said, okay, what am I going to zoom in on? It didn't matter. I was going to zoom in on anything that just jumped out at me, and I was going to zoom in enough until it started pixelating to show her for an example. And when I took that picture, there was a black spear in the picture, and uh, what I did was I took another picture immediately right after to disprove or debunk uh, the first one. And sure enough, it wasn't in any of the other pictures. But here I am trying to offer a friend a little pixelation explanation, and now I'm sitting over here dealing with black spears, and I just felt like it was because I messed with Mirasol a little bit. It was a friendly, healthy thing. Like I said, she's a friend of mine and I respect her so much. And I would never be like, you're not experiencing this or that. But to me, it was a playful, like, hey, don't mess with me. Don't mess with her.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, here you go. Here's a little spear to add to your experiences. Here, deal with that. put that somewhere in your where are you going to put that at, you know?
Right.
But it's there. Black spears are definitely something that I have pictures of and no explanation for.
Very interesting.
And these black spears, Kelly, are the same pictures that they took that were following the airplanes. They were the Foo Fighters. They called them the Foo Fighters. These are
Hmm.
the yeah, I've got pictures, history book pictures of this black spear that they caught by many warplanes. Just checking them out, making sure everything's okay.
Right.
I see you guys are fighting with each other again. I just want to make sure you guys ain't, going to do something that's going to affect a lot more than you think.
Yep. Yep.
Yup, yup.
Yup. All right. Well, it's about time to wrap this up.
All
Um,
right.
any parting words of wisdom?
No, just be you, be yourself, and you'll be surprised how much that'll do for you. A lot of people
Right.
will see that. It's very addictive.
Right. I agree. Peace and love, man. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Beep beep.
That's how I be myself. I'm just like all peace and love, and I shoot from the hip.
Straight shooter.
Yep. I tell it like it is. All right.
Well,
Well, as usual, I am over the moon thrilled to talk to you,
well,
and
it
it's
was a
been a lot of
pleasure.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you so much for having
And
me.
you're welcome. And next time we're going to delve into your cousin's videos a little further.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. If you've got those, send them to me because I want to listen. Take a listen,
Okay.
and then let's talk about that a little more.
All right. Yeah, I'll stop myself right now from saying any more. I don't want to ruin
Yeah,
some more good stuff.
that's right. So
Okay.
stay tuned for the next saga. And until then, see you later. Bye. Peace.
Good night. Peace.